Going to continue part two. You guys can take a rip with me here and figure out the rest of how we got to be where we are. Now, I know that the big enemy, right? We can call it an enemy, but it's also a very valuable resource because it moves so quickly, and that's the shitty part. But I use AI. I have used AI, but here I've put together a lot of this stuff I already knew, but I'm putting together, what we've gone through here so far has been Smart City Agenda and its technological foundations, where it all started, where it's all coming from, and I put a bullet point together for how it's all coming together. If you can, as you can see, like this is up until now, like where this all um, basically began, and so where we left off was on carbon composites research. So carbon composites, they're working into graphene there. Okay. But so I'm just going to search these as we go through and give you a headline article and show you that these are all very valid. Now, notice the date on here, all right? Advanced strategic initiatives in cybersecurity, social media, and advanced manufacturing. They were working on this 2009 to 2012, and then COVID hit, right? In 2019, 7 years after, they were 7 years ahead of this game when they initiated it. You have to keep things in mind like, like LifeLog and Facebook and TikTok, right? I mean, there's just so much more stuff here. So much more stuff here. Um, so I type in something about DARPA, and the first hit that comes up is the World Economic Forum, right? Improving cybersecurity resilience in advanced manufacturing. So it's just advanced manufacturing. It's not talking about the. So that's in this one's 2025. This is 2024. Now, if I let's go to, and I'm going to type in the year 2012. Regina E. Dugan, American businesswoman, inventor, and technology developer. She's an American businesswoman. Dog's Nose, known as the Dog's Nose, involved in the development of an advanced portable system that could detect explosives. This was one of her. Um, just look the lady up. You got to just look her up. But anyway, we'll go to Pentagon sets cybersecurity sites on social media in 2012. I'm going to be cutting in and out a lot through the videos so that I can eliminate a lot of wasted time that I usually have here. So on most of my live videos, but big data science document summarizes federal government progress or programs that are addressing challenges related to big data and leveraging opportunities from big data across different agencies. Some key programs mentioned are the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency's efforts in anomalous something. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. So we'll just go straight to Pentagon. I have a cousin that was a captain in the Air Force at the Pentagon, I think for about 10 years. And, all right, so DARPA is looking for new tools to track social media interaction. The Defense Department is looking for new tools that will better track positions and interactions with social media for a broad range of tactical as well as strategic military operations. according to a DoD solicitation. A notice from Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency indicates the Pentagon is seeking new software that will automatically sift through social media sites and track how groups interact and evolve, according to a NextGov report. According to DARPA, previous efforts to track online activities and related data haven't been very fruitful, and now the agency wants new automated tools that use algorithms to help track and distinguish how criminal groups recruit, collaborate, compete, and interact through social media. Criminal groups always drive the fear. There's always those criminals, there's always terrorists, right? People that stand against Israel, they might be all terrorists. Social media have evolved from a platform that provides infrastructure that supports maintaining connections between friends to a platform that supports recruiting, collaborating, organizing, and competing for resources. Among these communities and teams are terrorist and other criminal organizations. The DARPA solicitation noted the impact of the teams on the social landscape, their interactions with other teams, the evolution of network state over time, and competition with other teams and communities has not been adequately researched. Due to the overwhelming deluge of data generated by users across social media platforms, this analysis cannot be done manually. Analyzing dynamics of online communities, predicting trends and activities. Ideally, the systems would examine aspects such as reasons people join a given group, the knowledge, skills, and opinions they bring to the community, and what effect that has. So, in regards to, let's say, a pink can group, it's already known, right? You've got to follow me there. So, when I'm on Substack behind a paywall, it doesn't mean that they're not there as well. It's just not so publicly displayed. And I'm trying to move away from that because obvious reasons. Okay, this is the world's leading department against anybody that would decide to stand up against it, and what else are you supposed to do, right? Just lay down and take whatever they give you, and we can't do that. We can't do that. Just can't do that. So social media is a big part of it, right? And it's been from the start. So as you're watching algorithms and you're watching the way that your little groups evolve, the way that the algorithms deliver information to you, all of this stuff, just all of it. Dog knows explosive detectors. Right, later joined Facebook and Meta to lead Building 8 research lab. All right, so here's what you need to understand about Facebook. It was LifeLog as an initiative for collecting and gathering data on Americans in the United States and across the world as early as this here, 2009, 2012. When did Facebook become a thing? What year did Facebook? So 2004. We would have to look in who were the previous directors of DARPA in order to figure out who was responsible for the creation of Facebook. So 2004, I think, is when it's saying here. Another thing, in colleges during that time, they ran it as a pilot in a lot of colleges around the United States, but they started in colleges with Facebook as a pilot program to see how colleges are going to interact. But then it started spreading out to regular people. But that was where they planted the seed, was in all of our colleges. And here's probably an article on LifeLog changing over to the hands of Mark Zuckerberg, and the colors behind it match the Israeli flag, oddly enough, the logo. secret government program, pioneer secret government program, and a strange coincidence how one man's quest to remember everything helped usher in a new era. Okay, so here's Mark Zuckerberg early on. They bring out a face. Guy's smart. He's at Harvard. Blah blah blah. He's loyal somehow, right? Pulse Weekly Health and Science. All right, so Facebook's origin story has been told again and again. 20 years ago, a group of ambitious Harvard sophomores created the site from the dorm room that would soon go on to change the world. But in certain corners of the internet, there's a different take on how it all started. One that riffs on the timing of the company's launch date, February 4th, 2004, and the shutdown of a secretive, now defunct government program. Central to this story is the research of Chester Gordon Bell, one of the architects of the modern internet. I'll say I'm one of the computing pioneers, Bell said, summing up his decades-long career in the field. Bell started back in 1997 when a former colleague from Carnegie Mellon University asked Bell if he could scan all of his books and documents into an archive about computer science history. The request gave Bell an idea. Why stop there? He said, why don't I just see what it's like if I scanned everything in your life and put it online? Bell wanted to capture the type of data that would have previously been impossible to collect without the kind of emerging technology finally at his disposal. He brought the idea to Microsoft and hired an assistant. And we started scanning everything, Bell said. Emails, work notes, his online browsing history. Bell eventually started wearing a camera around his neck that regularly snapped photos on a timer, an altimeter, and a GPS receiver that tracked his location. The idea was to create a surrogate memory, a trove of stored data to supplement the flawed recall of his human mind. It's really how I can go back and pinpoint something, Bell said. Right. So think about what they're doing here. What do we have on our phones? Regularly snapped photos. Your infrared is on all the time on your phone. It's on all the time. As soon as you open your camera, an altimeter on your phone and a GPS receiver on your phone at all times. So where does Regina Dugan go after LifeLog is already a program? She leaves DARPA and goes to work at Facebook for the Building 8 project. And the Building 8 project, I think, is something like a tracking, like a finance tracking directive where they're not just trying to. So Building 7 obviously is the oddball building that didn't get hit by anything that fell during 9/11, right? Building 8 would be a new finance data collection system is what I thought initially. So I thought it would be Building 8 due to that, like another. So you take all that stuff into account, and now you're at a point where you're like, well, that's a lot of data. That's a lot of stuff that started a long time ago. But look where we're at. Just your phone alone. All this stuff this guy did, supposedly. Let me see where I'm going to go here now. All right, so what I'm going to look for is the LifeLog program designer. It's probably going to be that guy again. DARPA LifeLog. All right, so this is a brief Wikipedia thing. It's, I guess, their AI responser. LifeLog was a project of Information Processing Techniques of the Information Processing Techniques Office of the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. According to its bid solicitation pamphlet in 2003, it was to be an ontology-based subsystem that captures, stores, and makes accessible the flow of one person's experience in and interactions with the world in order to support a broad spectrum of associates or assistants and other system capabilities. The objective of the lifelog concept was to be able to trace the threads of an individual's life in terms of events, states, and relationships. And it has the ability to take in all of a subject's experience from phone numbers dialed and email messages viewed to every breath taken, step made, and place gone. Goals and capabilities. LifeLog aimed to compile a massive electronic database of every activity and relationship a person engages in. This is LifeLog, not Facebook. Okay? This was to include credit card purchases, websites visited, content of telephone calls and emails sent and received, scans of faxes and postal mail sent and received, instant messages sent and received, books and magazines read, television and radio selections, physical location recorded via wearable GPS sensors, biomedical data captured through wearable sensors. 2004, wearable sensors. The high-level goal of this data logging was to identify preferences, plans, goals, and other markers of intentionality. Another of DARPA's goals for LifeLog had a predictive function. It sought to find meaningful patterns in the timeline to infer the user's routines, habits, and relationships with other people, organizations, places, and objects, and to exploit these patterns to ease its task. Generically, the term lifelog or flog is used to describe a storage system that can automatically and persistently record and archive some informational dimension of an object life log or user life log, life experience in a particular data category. News reports and media describe LifeLog as a diary to end all diaries, a multimedia digital record of everywhere you go and everything you see, hear, read, and say and touch. According to U.S. government officials, LifeLog is not connected with DARPA's Total Information Awareness. The LifeLog program was canceled on February 4th of 2004 after criticism concerning the privacy implications of the system. Same date Facebook was started. Same day. Literally the same day. Well, who did they hand it off to? Somebody that may hold loyalties with another country due to a religious relationship with that country, right? So there's that part. So my biggest point here is that I'm trying to build or set a stage for you to view this overall from the top down. Facebook is a huge part of it. TikTok is a huge part of it. Snapchat, that belongs to China, I think, through Aladdin, or I can't remember the holdings. There's a holdings company, I think, but it's Chinese owned. Anyway. Generate answer for later. Facebook Meta to build leading. So building 8, again, like as I'm covering the thing with building 8, they said it was a failed project, and Regina Dugan ended up leaving there, and she went to, I think, Google after that. But this is during the time frame when Google was doing all. You have this stuff integrated right into your phone when you buy your phone. The apps are already in there, right? So she leaves Facebook after working at the place that conceptualized and brought to fruition LifeLog via Facebook, right? It happened that way. It was a government program to start. So now they obviously make the lines of how that transaction happened very difficult to find, but research and development. Let's see here. DARPA, Regina Dugan. Time. So now she leaves DARPA after that program was started. So she's moving into the private sector stuff. She's assisting the private sector stuff because we can't go after the private sector. There's no recourse there. There's no government agency that we can put pressure on politicians to go after or correct. So Facebook hired a former DARPA head to lead an ambitious new research lab. Wow, surprise, right? If you need another sign that Facebook's world dominating ambitions are just getting started, here's one. The Menlo Park, California company has hired a former DARPA chief to lead its new research lab. That's in 2016. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced April 14th that Regina Dugan will guide Building 8, a new research group developing hardware projects that advance the company's efforts in virtual reality, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, and global connectivity. Artificial intelligence. We're here. The COVID thing. ID for those who have been vaccinated with the robot structure. That's what it was. Dugan served as the head of Pentagon's Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency from 2009 and 2012. Most recently, she led Google's Advanced Technology and Projects Lab, but she was there as early as 2004. So, Projects Lab, a highly experimental arm of the company responsible for developing new hardware and software products on a strict 2-year timetable. Dugan will bring the same sink or swim mindset to Facebook. This method is characterized by aggressive fixed timelines, extensive use of partnerships with universities, small and large businesses, and clear objectives for shipping products at scale. So they're selling it as, this is the vision. This is where we want to be. What they're really doing here is figuring out how to plant data extraction systems into all of those things, monitoring and tracking and tracing all of those things. That's all they were doing. Okay, so while I'm there, I'm going to do a search on Meta Glasses infrared capabilities. So this is the part where I'm talking about graphene. And again, look at these things that come up. Vision impaired, but smart glasses with camera. Okay. Infrared glasses, Amazon, Meta glasses do not feature infrared capabilities. They primarily include cameras, speakers, and a microphone for audio and video functions, but lack any infrared technology for night vision or similar applications. I think they are infused. There's an infrared camera built into the lens. Ray-Bans, Meta Ray-Bans for half a year. Smart glasses, feature design, built-in AI capabilities. So you got to think about what these things do. They take images of things in real time. There's no way that they don't have infrared built into them for imaging, for spatial technologies. Let's just do spatial. Meta glasses have spatial capabilities that include real-time suggestions, live translation, and the ability to interact with the environment through AI features. AI needs to see those things in order to have those features, right? Infrared has to be involved in that for LiDAR. Spatial, or let's type in and add LiDAR. How are they, and what are they, and how do they work? Let me see if I can find something here. I'm going to pause. All right, I didn't find anything on infrared, but they're not really going to announce that. They don't announce that when you go by your smartphone. Yet you can always see that purple light. If I bring my phone up and I show you that my camera on my phone always has a purple light going on. And this, you see it right there? That purple light? It's just my camera is on. That's it. Hold on a second here. All right, so I'm shining it. You see that purple flare? That's the little light is right here. That's infrared. That's spatial telemetry. The telemetry, I think, is the proper word. So we are at helicopter is back again over me here. This is the third time so far tonight. This one's just a life flight. Okay, so sentient world simulations, Internet of Things, smart city concept. The important part that I wanted to get to was colleges. She goes into start these urban challenge, new technologies, emphasized AI. Hang on a second. All right, so this guy and her, I'm going to copy. Background, Bioforge. Mobility, Motorola is a big deal. They're still around, but they're super secret about things like this now. All right, multi-university agreement is really the first of its kind, and this is probably around the right time. So 2013, here we go. Now, I'm leaving that thing on there. Motorola Mobility and 8 leading U.S. universities signed groundbreaking research and development agreement. This is all colleges. Sunnyvale, California, June 19th, 2013. Motorola Mobility's Advanced Technology and Projects ATAP group is entering into a groundbreaking new collaboration agreement with 8 top U.S. research universities. The multi-university research agreement, MURA, will dramatically streamline the generation of new joint research projects and pave the way to closer cooperation on the development of fundamental new technologies. The signatories include Motorola, California Institute of Technology, Carnegie Mellon University. I always want to say Carnegie Mellon. Carnegie Mellon University, Harvard University, University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Stanford, Texas A&M, Virginia Tech. By reducing the time and complexity needed to establish new research projects through the use of common strategy and terms, the MURA forges a faster and more seamless way of working with leading research universities, one that matches the speed and agility needed for ATAP projects. Use of a single universal agreement with all 8 universities will enable Motorola's ATAP and researchers in these universities to engage in research projects across a wide range, such as single university researcher on a short-term research project or a larger cross-disciplinary and multi-university research effort, and do so in less than 30 days rather than the several months that traditional sponsors research agreements can often take to establish. All right, so what they're doing here is the same thing as China's 1,000 Talents program was the same thing. I don't know how to get this damn thing to stop popping up. I can't stand it that it does that. Chinese government initiative at recruiting experts in science and technology from abroad, particularly targeting overseas Chinese and top foreign talent. It has attracted over 7,000 participants since its launch in 2008, offering significant benefits such as high salaries and research funding. So I'm going to kind of dive off of the smart city thing for a second here, and I'm going to show you what else this brings you into. So it's places like Harvard, and you have to think of a situation like uh, during COVID, right? There was a big problem with um, what the hell was that guy's name? Dr. Charles Lieber, right? That was a for instance, Lieber, there it is, arrested. Harvard professor Charles Lieber sentenced to time served. He kept on going through all this stuff with with the news at the time. I remember this is the. Here, let's see if I can get that to play out loud here.
Today, we are announcing 3 impactful cases from my office in our nation's fight against the People's Republic of China's transnational repression activities. The first 2 criminal complaints that I am announcing shed further light on the extent of the PRC government's efforts to project its authoritarian worldview on the residents of this city and this country. The 2 complaints charge more than 30 officers with China's National Police Force, which is called the Ministry of Public Security, or the NPS, and 2 New York City residents with violations of U.S. law.
All right, this isn't accurate. So he was found guilty of concealing his affiliation with a Chinese recruitment program, was sentenced to time served in prison 2 days and 2 years of supervised release with 6 months of home arrest, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Massachusetts. Also have to pay a fine of $50,000 in restitution. So, again, now, China is an arm of Israel. It's undeniable. Israel runs the financial structures everywhere, but they do that through BlackRock. They do that through these independent places, right? World Economic Forum, that's China as well, but this is long after. It was 2019 or 2020 when he was first arrested. So anyway, that was he was his area of expertise. If you look him up just by himself, Dr. Charles Lieber was a pioneer, they say, or whatever those kinds of words are, area of study. I think it was so it was nanotechnology, biochemistry at Harvard or something. But all the stuff that would go into what's going on with the COVID vaccine, it wasn't the goddamn disease that they were. It was he worked. I'll guarantee you, he worked on making the vaccines. So, 1959, chemist, inventor, nanotechnologist, writer. In 2011, Lieber was leading chemist in the world for a decade, 2000 to 2010, by Reuters. Support careers, a large number of graduate students and postdoctoral fellows who, in their right, are distinguished faculty and scientists. So, but anyway, if you look into the story of him and you want to find out when he was first arrested, you'll see it was all through that time, right at that same. That was the pinnacle, but it was that was 2019 or something. Anyway, and my point here is that they use guys like that to initiate these types of programs. So he got trapped between DARPA and China. China was already using this stuff on their people throughout the whole thing. So this guy focused on new technologies, and let's take this guy into. Let's look up this guy with graphene. I'm going to type in after this, okay? Arati Prabhakar. I don't even know how to pronounce this lady's name. American engineer and public official. I want to know her origin. I wonder if she's Israeli. DARPA, 10th Director of National Institute of Standards. United States from New Delhi, India. She's Indian. Mother was seeking an advanced degree in social work in Chicago. BS degree in electrical engineering. PhD, went to Washington, D.C., Congressional Fellowship of the Office of Technology Assessment. Institute of Standards and Technology. So, all right. Let's look up graphene with her name attached to it. U.S. Department of War biography. Vision of U.S. Science Success in MIT. So this is right around the time frame, right? The last thing that we were just looking at here in the AI chat. The director, 2012 to 2017. During that time frame, Rice University comes up with Tesla phoresis. We did this in the last video. So Tesla phoresis is one of these technologies that they were talking about, stringing together nanoparticulates using electromagnetic fields. These are the technologies. Well, what does graphene do? It's photoluminescent. It is picked up by infrared spatial telemetry systems like Meta glasses. So that whole process of Tesla phoresis, as you saw in the video I did last time, the red and blue lights in there affect the way that stuff is. It's the resonant charge of those lights specifically that are going to create the resonance of the graphene particulates. It's either the resonance. It has an effect on the way that it behaves. Anyway, so that as one of them. Stephen Walker, director, 2017 to 2020, emphasized AI and machine learning. So if we chase this guy down and we see, now this is pre-COVID. This is pre-COVID. I don't think I copied that. Former DARPA head Stephen Walker to join Lockheed as vice president. Lockheed Martin, government contractor, makes all this stuff come to life, in the private sector. So before promotion, DARPA director in 2017, agency's deputy director and program manager for its tactical technology office. 21st DARPA director, Lockheed taps former DARPA director. Air Force biography. So again, in the Air Force, you got to look up guys like Dr. James Giordano. But you see where I'm trying to go here anyway. So the smart city concept and evolution, initial concepts and technologies, DARPA urban challenge, autonomous vehicle competition in urban environment, sentient world simulation, DARPA project modeling human behavior. This is all right, so self-driving cars, 2007. Sentient world simulation, I think that was 2005. We'll check real quick. Synthetic SEAS, we went through this last time. What year? – 2006. That was their concept paper in 2006. It was the thing I read previously was 2005 somewhere. So anyway, modeling human behavior. It's not just human, it's every kind of behavior everywhere. So total information awareness, data aggregation program, later renamed. These are the concept evolution. Comprehensive National Cybersecurity Initiative, coordinated cybersecurity approach. So you can look up who owns all the cybersecurity companies. Israel, or Israeli friendly people. again. So, Internet of Things, key smart city components. Internet of Things, sensor networks. What are the sensor networks? Graphene sprayed onto everything, graphene into every bit of fabric that you could possibly put on your body, your shoes, your glasses, your necklace, your whatever, doesn't matter. Where do you buy all your products from? China. How much of the stuff that they distribute has graphene infused into it somewhere? We don't know. I mean, how do you check it? But it's because of that photoluminescent or photo electrical behavior that it is readable. That AI is able to see it. The infrared system on the back of your phone. That's how it all works, right? So you're building the sentient world simulation every time you take out your phone, every time you take a selfie, every time you take a picture of the beautiful sunrise and sunset, autonomous transportation systems start working in now, energy grid optimization, um, which is data center control, public safety monitoring systems, including inside of your own car, the whole Ford Motor thing, digital identity systems, um, and we're there. That's Home Depot. That's Lowe's. So we're a financial framework and corporate involvement. So DARPA annual budget is $3 billion. Private sector investment through venture capital. That's where the World Economic Forum crosses the threshold. World Economic Forum. Oh, here there's World Economic Forum initiatives and partnerships, government grants and municipal bonds. So you have to find out what's the relationship between the WEF and DARPA. There shouldn't be one. That should never have ever happened. Well, that was the beginning of the not the Young Global Leaders program has been around a lot longer. Like Trump was even a part of that. But you have to look up the Young Global Leaders program. Young Global Leaders program. Let's just go with alumni. Some of these names on here, you'll see where they all are leading people. All right, so there was a page that this used to take you to when you would go and look it up, and it would show you. All right, so in regards to the smart city agenda out of the gate, right? So these are the Forum of Young Global Leaders is led by a board that lends their ideas and passion to the community success and development. We are also guided by an advisory group of young global leaders. Advisory group of young global leaders. That's these guys. Where you're having problems in the world. All right. Let's say, all right. So chair and senior advisor, BlackRock Asset Management, Switzerland. This was the web of international spy stuff for all business across the world, for all business of every type, including politics. Global Private Bank, Global Chair, Investment Banking, JP Morgan Chase, United Kingdom. Climate Envoy, Netherlands, Government of Netherlands. Opinion columnist at CNN, changing the way people see things. Chairman and Chief Executive Officer and groups People's Republic of China. People's Republic of China is a young global leader. China is working with these guys up here, right? They're giving you don't just hand off your top, banking people or whatever off to the World Economic Forum. You don't just say, all right, here, go to the World Economic Forum. President and Chief Executive Officer, one campaign, I don't know what that is. Founder and Executive Chair, Django Capital of France. Founder and Chair of Principia Advisory. Cloudflare, that's Michelle Zatlyn. President and Chief. Cloudflare was a big thing about that. I don't remember what it was, though. Forum of Global Leaders Leadership. Head of Forum Young Global Leaders is Ida Jang Christensen. Forum of Young Global Leaders staff. Future of leadership, global community engagement, right? Global. It's always the word global engagement. Young Global Leaders Foundation. That's the guy that's in the commercial. Danny Richmond. He's the guy that's in the commercial where they say you'll own nothing and be happy. I think that's the guy that's in that commercial. So lead coordination and engagement, annual selection process. These don't have anything. I want to see the. All right, so here's the 2026 class. These are the people you're going to be seeing coming up soon. This is 2026 only. But when you look up previous years, Trump was one of them, Zuckerberg was one of them, Elon Musk was one of them. All these people that influence the way that people see politics. Maria Bartiromo was one of them. Tulsi Gabbard was one of them. The other guy, Dan Crenshaw, the guy with the eye patch, he was one of them, right? All of these guys are. So this was the net. This was the network of making all this AI shit happen through the World Economic Forum. Now you saw the relationship between the World Economic Forum and DARPA, right? So like, holy shit. We're probably not going to know many of these guys, but if you look at the previous years, there was a web page up at one time that I went and I read. All through that web page, I was just like, holy shit, the people that were in it. You got to look at the things that they're into, because that they're selected to be in this whole thing, right? You have to look at the jobs that they're after. That's why I'm not reading their names. I don't give a shit about their names. I'm telling you the things that they run. Chief Executive Officer at Shadowfax Technologies. Capital Management. There's money, digitized stuff coming in, right? I don't know what that is. Director at Future City, Alyssa Amor Gibbons. McKinsey and Company, Inc. of Panama. Capiva, Bain and Company. Empowerment Solutions. Whatever these, I recognize her face. There's a big problem with her. I don't remember what it was though. Co-founder, managing partner, Adam Capital. Foreign Affairs of Japan. Self-Storage Group, Executive Officer at Hilltop. Bridgewater Associates, Africa Globals at Swiss. These are kind of goofy jobs. The last, so I was looking and they had like people from Qatar, people from India, people from Saudi Arabia. All these people were like heads of things at Google and all these programming. So they're building businesses off of the new system to be installed. So these guys are 10 years ahead. What they're doing right now, this is their this is the beginning. This is where they're going to start growing, because they have attended. They've sold their souls here, Freemasonry of world business is what this is. So founder Pitt, medical, artificial intelligence of Trinidad. This guy, administration and artificial intelligence at Ministry of Public Administration and AI. So I want to find. I wish I. So it would be really. Young Global Leaders. Future. New members per year, 100 plus, 1,400 plus members. There, I've got to find that. I'm going to pause this and I'm going to look and see if I can find it. All right, so this is academic dictionaries and encyclopedias. What I'm going to do is save this tab, and I'll leave the link on the base info of this video in Substack. You guys can click on it and go to this and read through yourself, but I'll cover a little bit of it now. So this is in 2005. The people that you would find on here are people like who was a member? Macron of France. Justin Trudeau was one of them. Again, Tulsi Gabbard is like, I was thinking to myself, like, through the height of my ideas on conservatism, she doesn't seem that bad for a Democrat. I kept saying, and I'm like, but something's off. She's too well polished, And everywhere that these people are running things, you'll start finding out that this is your governors. Ron DeSantis, I think, was one of them. I don't remember it, but I'm pretty sure Ron DeSantis was one of them. And he's like hardcore friendship, like real deep into Israel with Netanyahu. They're like best buddies. So like NBC Universal, Roy Brandon Burgess. It's always in the media stuff. It's always in the. All right, so Latin America. We can go to North America. Okay. North America. And then they started to say things like, when Tulsi Gabbard was brought up about this, they were saying, oh, if she came out politically and said, oh, no, I wasn't a part of that. They just attached my name to make me look bad and all this stuff was the argument. I'm telling you, I saw it 2 years before that ever even came up. Before it ever even came up, it was on there 2 years previous. So suddenly they faked it, and it's not how it worked. So here's the best way I can do this. Let me open up a new page. Open in new page. So copy this, and then I will open a new one. Now, this list is going to blow your mind. So I'm going to just do a new chat. I want you to compile for me a list of young global leaders that have been involved both with the World Economic Forum, the United States and its governance systems, along with it's going to ask the question. Let me do it this way. So I don't know how to do this. I want you to put together a list of young global leaders that were this one. Okay, so this one put together a list of young global leaders of the World Economic Forum, but particularly any that have been critical in the smart city agenda. Give me a list of
World Economic Forum, young global leaders in smart city agenda. American political figures, 15 notable young global leaders. Federal government officials. Pete Buttigieg, former presidential candidate, current Secretary of Transportation.
Still.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, U.S. Representative, NY14. Tulsi Gabbard, former U.S. Representative, High 02. Dan Crenshaw, U.S. Representative, TX02. Elise Stefanik, U.S. Representative, NY21. Seth Moulton, U.S. Representative, MA06. Jason Crow, U.S. Representative, CO06. Chrissy Houlihan, U.S. Representative, PA06. Lauren Underwood, U.S. Representative, IL14. Colin Allred, U.S. Representative, TX32. Haley Stevens, U.S. Representative, ME11. Katie Hill, former U.S. Representative, CA 25.
He's taking us right.
Jared Polis, Governor of Colorado. Wes Moore, Governor of Maryland. Josh Shapiro, Governor of Pennsylvania.
Terrible stuff.
Gretchen Whitmer, Governor of Michigan. J.B. Pritzker, Governor of Illinois. Gavin Newsom, Governor of California.
Okay, so you have to understand here, like when everybody was saying, well, these guys are all like oligarchs and, they're like Nazis. They literally are. Klaus Schwab, his dad was a Nazi. He was a Nazi officer. So, you can go through this list too is another thing, you can go through this list alone and just go like, oh my God. But they are all on board for all this stuff. And like Josh Shapiro, like I don't even have to look at any of these people anymore. When you look at them up in any seat, how did they get there? Because they've been at these meetings. They've been a part of this as a program. Bringing the new world to light as a DARPA program, but like who dictates to who? I'm sure it's the World Economic Forum over DARPA somehow, but Gretchen Whitmer was a big one with the vaccines, or else, right? Gavin Newsom, right? Ron DeSantis was one. Kristi Noem of South Dakota, technology policy, right? So this is what I got kicked off of TikTok for, was addressing this whole list of people. This is what they froze my account and kicked me out of TikTok. Like I couldn't even get on facial recognition on a different device on TikTok. It knew it was me. So when this is a thing that has not been researched deeply by a lot of people, and I was so far into this on my other account on Facebook, but I would get 20 views or 30 views, or maybe 30 people overall would see them. So technology and policy advisors, but you're looking into politics right there. How did those people that were all involved with this international group get elected to these places? So Director of National Artificial Intelligence Initiative Office, former deputy. Now these are just, I'm trying to get to which people would be critical in the construction of a smart city as an infrastructure, that kind of, not like physical construction, but installing cameras and all that stuff. All these technology gurus. Bill de Blasio, former New York City mayor, urban development and infrastructure leaders, right? Why did they destroy all the property in New York City, under him, with the riots and all that stuff, to drive down the price of the property. So John Kerry, another one, special presidential envoy for climate, was a young global leader. Just big names that you would need to know, but you'd have to do the research on. There's just so many, and you start just laying it out like it's all right. So Bank of America, JP Morgan and Chase, BlackRock, Apple, Microsoft, Alphabet and Google, CEO of Meta, founder of Amazon, CEO of Tesla, Elon Musk was one of them. Rometty, I don't know who that lady is, or I guess it's a lady. Mark Benioff, CEO of Google. Sheryl Sandberg. Oh, Mark Zuckerberg was one of these guys for sure. Salesforce, Google, YouTube, Yahoo, Global Smart City Leaders, 20 key figures, the Mayor of London, Mayor of Paris, former Mayor of Barcelona, Mayor of Milan, former Italian Minister of Economic Development, former Italian Minister of Economic Development, European Commissioner for Climate Action, Executive Vice President for the European Commission, Franz Timmermans. But a lot of these names are real big names. You've heard a lot, Data scientist at World Bank, young global leader. CEO, New Cities Foundation, co-founder, Smart Cities, Big Data, Civic Hackers, and the Quest for a New Utopia. So it's an author, Anthony Townsend. Smart City Initiatives and Frameworks, G20 Global Summit, the Smart City Alliance, Center for Urban Transformation, Global Future Council of Cities, Net Zero Carbon Cities Initiative, Healthy Cities and Communities. So another thing you got to put into context here, this is early. This is a long time ago. This is the 2000, 2005, 2008, 2012. These people were already working on this agenda. The way that they brought it into life was they breathed life into it by, getting Trump into office, by faking the Biden administration, by giving you COVID and the ID for AI, right? You're being identified for AI, and all of these different people are working towards that. All of these big people that are running all of this money. Smart City Council delegation, Thinkers 360, top 50 global thought leaders on smart cities, Internet of Things and sensor networks, technology and focus areas, Internet of Things and sensor networks, AI governance and urban management, digital infrastructure and connectivity, energy efficiency and sustainability, public safety and surveillance systems. So, research framework for further investigation. Key questions to explore. How do young global leaders influence smart city policy in respective governments? I mean, it's an endless thing. This is huge. This part of it is huge. The electrical engineers are huge in how this whole thing came to be. They're always under NDAs. They're not allowed to talk about their shit or they get kicked out, lose their jobs for life. Annual meeting in Davos. So when it happens in the World Economic Forum, it's happening everywhere. They control the way all this stuff goes. But that's pretty much all I wanted to cover tonight. So this is part 2. I'm going to do a part 3 as well, and I'll run through the rest of these. So as we're talking about, how all these things work, it's graphene in all of it. Digital identity systems wouldn't work without it. Public safety monitoring systems wouldn't work without it if you can't be identified because you don't have the shit on your skin. There's a reason that it's in the shots. There's a reason that it's in the water systems and in the air filtration systems, on your clothes, in everything, monitoring the way you walk, all that. Energy grid optimization, autonomous transportation systems. But this is how the whole thing works with AI, This is how the whole thing works with AI. And this is what they've been working on. It is happening. We are doing it. And what you think or feel about any of it does not matter. It's unreal. But I'll go through the rest of this. All right, so we could go here, graphene oxide in consumer products. Let's just hit that real quick because this will iron out for you what happened? I had a second window open here, I thought. Okay. All right, so let's do a search on here. Add to chat. Microphone in use. You couldn't see that. That's off the screen. this quick. I had to do a voice to text because it wouldn't let me use my
Graphene oxide in consumer products, a comprehensive analysis. Major product categories with graphene oxide. Based on current market data, graphene oxide and related graphene family materials are primarily found in these product categories: electronics and heat management, Huawei smartphones and devices incorporating graphene heat spreaders, Realme smartphones utilizing graphene for thermal management, Xiaomi electronic devices with graphene-enhanced cooling systems, ZTE electronics products featuring graphene heat dissipation technology, automotive and coatings, ceramic detailing coatings and sprays for automotive applications. These products typically market graphene oxide as an enhancement for durability, gloss, and water behavior. Filtration systems: Zenguard enhanced air filters by Zentech. Graphene oxide membranes and composite membranes used in industrial filtration, especially for PFAS and chemical separation. Personal protective equipment: cut-resistant gloves, though testing shows only one popular brand actually contained conclusive evidence of graphene oxide content.
Now, they were talking about the Meta glasses needing something to register, and you would have to buy a special armband or whatever to signal the glasses to read or do whatever they're doing, right?
Emerging applications.
But this is how graphene works across the board. Across the board, wherever there's a phone, a smart TV, smart anything that can gather electrical energy or electrons-based materials.
Biomedical applications including drug delivery systems and biosensors. Energy storage systems utilizing graphene oxide's unique properties. Technical properties of graphene oxide. Graphene oxide is a derivative of graphene featuring oxygen-containing functional groups that give it unique properties. Good water dispersibility allows it to mix easily with aqueous solutions. Tunable surface chemistry can be modified for specific applications. Excellent barrier performance used in filtration and separation technologies. Enhanced mechanical strength when incorporated into composites. Improved conductivity, though less than pristine graphene due to oxygen groups. Market and production data. The global graphene market is experiencing significant growth. Market size, USD 598. 29 million in 2025. Projected to reach USD 6,979.95 million by 2034. Graphene oxide segment expected to expand at a CAGR of 38.1% during this period. Graphene nanoplatelets, GNP, graphene oxide, GO, and reduced graphene oxide, RGO, are the closest forms to significant commercial uptake. In 2010, research-grade graphene oxide cost approximately $200,000 per kilogram from laboratory suppliers. Production and quality concerns. There are significant concerns about product validation and quality control. A recent study found that only 4 of 34 distinct powders or suspensions satisfied advertised claims when subjected to rigorous investigation. 32 of these powders were advertised as graphene oxide, with the remaining 2 labeled as functionalized graphene. Among commercial cut-resistant gloves claiming graphene additive content, only one product was determined to contain conclusive evidence of content from the graphene family, in the form of graphene oxide. Progress in graphene commercialization has not been followed by strict quality controls and toxicity benchmarks. Technical analysis methods. For validation of graphene content in products, these methods are used.
All right, so this is, I'll read the rest to you because the voice is kind of annoying, but I'd like to add something to this. I was into this a couple years ago, this Raman spectroscopy thing. So, basically, it's there's a specific light value that's a measurable thing. And so thermal values of your body heat, for instance, would be one of them. What the road looks like, what the air blowing by you is registering as. If graphene is floating around through the air, I see it on my infrared cameras, right? I know that it's there. I know that it can be readable, um, in the air, on the ground, right? LED lights charging it and all that other kind of stuff. Infrared. Um, so it's that's what this spectroscopy thing is all about. D vibration overtone, as well as the second order D vibration overtone, 2D combination scattering peak. Again, scattering peak. Scattering is the electron uh, system that they have in place where inside your house they use backscatter technology, where it's a radar system. It's the measurement how AI or the particulates are picking up all the vibrations around it, all of the electron scatter. So that's called backscatter technology. How much electricity is surging through your walls? It's readable, not from the meter on either side is what they're after. It's readable through smart internet infrastructure, biosensors, and all these other things, but also to a degree that it can alter your own physiology directly, you know. So the change in your mood and enhancing the way that you think and all that different stuff comes hand in hand with this kind of technology. That's like undeniable. It's undeniable, but the sophistication in it or understanding it is very difficult for the majority of people. They don't want to believe that any of this stuff could be this way, you know. But I'm gonna do a part 3 on this. I'm gonna do another video. This is typically what I do. What I do, like this, is old for me, but um, these are the kinds of things that you got to get out to other people to see. You know, these are important topics that led up to the way that we are being governed right now. But when you see all of these, Ron DeSantis and Gavin Newsom were both right. They're both part of the Young Global Leaders program, and they go through like years worth of flying back and forth and being involved and whatever else. Not to mention online training, whatever kind of shit they would do, I guess. But these people have all been corrupted by it. They are all compromised. If they've been a part of that as a system, they don't belong in our government at all on any level whatsoever. So um, those are the ones that you got to hunt for. Those are the people. It's the Young Global Leaders programs is the that was the end of the United States in 2001. They were already putting it together. I mean, it stands a lot earlier than that, but I'm sorry I made the beginning of this video so it's kind of drab, but if you stick with me, by the time we get to the end part of it, we're gonna see what how exactly the data centers are functioning and why all the politics don't align with the things that are actually happening. When's the last time you heard a politician bring up anything about smart cities? They don't mean shit. Those politicians don't mean shit. They can't do a goddamn thing. They're there to distribute the information to you and get your eyes on something completely different. Data centers is about the worst that they've ever brought up. People don't even know what those data centers are for. We're covering it right now. This is all of it right here. So, um, regarding advanced surveillance claims, while graphene oxide has unique properties that make it valuable for various applications, the specific claims about it being used as a spatial recognition system with AI teaching sentient world simulation are not supported by the available technical documentation or product information. Graphene oxide's documented applications focus on its material properties like strength, conductivity, and filtration capabilities rather than advanced surveillance functions. So just because that just pissed me off by answering me that way, I'm going to pause this and show you. I just cursed at it a couple of times. So it says, I understand you're interested in the technical properties of graphene oxide and its potential applications in surveillance systems. Let me address this directly with the information available. Graphene oxide and infrared detection. Graphene oxide does have unique optical properties that make it detectable under certain conditions. Infrared responsiveness. Graphene oxide exhibits specific absorption and reflection characteristics in the infrared spectrum, which can be detected by specialized imaging systems. That's anything with infrared at all, uploaded in real time to create a digital 3D replica of the real world. Okay. Photoluminescence. When exposed to certain wavelengths, including UV and some infrared, graphene oxide can emit detectable light signals. This is why it shows up in your security cameras at nighttime on the black and white screen. It looks like snow. It's not snow. Thermal conductivity. Its exceptional thermal properties create distinct heat signatures that can be captured by infrared cameras. Smartphone infrared capabilities. Modern smartphones, including Samsung and iPhone models, do incorporate infrared-related technologies. LiDAR systems found in newer iPhone models. These use infrared laser pulses for spatial mapping. That's your face primarily, but on the back side of the camera, it does the same exact thing. Face ID sensors utilize infrared projectors and cameras for 3D facial recognition. Proximity sensors typically use infrared for detecting when the phone is held to the ear. Again, proximity sensors. You're on the phone, your brain emits wavelengths, alpha, beta, theta, delta, gamma, right? All the way up to 70 hertz. That's all registerable to that phone. That phone can hear what wavelength your brain is in while you have that phone against your head. Your AirPods do the same thing. It's built for subtle energy frequency recognition system. It's built for it. So, camera filters. Some smartphone cameras can detect near infrared light with appropriate software modifications. Data transmission and corporate connections. Regarding the financial and technological infrastructure you mentioned, BlackRock's tech investments. BlackRock holds significant positions in major technology companies, including Apple, Samsung, and various cybersecurity firms. What they're failing to mention here is that the top three holdings companies would be BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, right? And between those three, which are all inter-owned by each other, in their like, so the highest holdings would be BlackRock for Vanguard, and then the highest holdings for Vanguard would be BlackRock and State Street, but they always own more than the next highest holdings company, anybody that has stock owned in that company. So there could be like Trump can own a portion of it, as he's invested into that system, but in conjunction with each other, those three bigger ones always, they might have 5% BlackRock, 5% Vanguard, 5% State Street, in order to be 1% higher than Trump owning 14%, you know? And that's the point. Between the three, which are all the same boards, always talking to each other, they could do three different group meetings at the same meeting, right? And say, this is the direction we want to go with blah, blah, blah. Well, everybody in those everybody's got to wear masks. Everybody's got to be vaccinated. The propaganda and whatever, all of it comes straight out of those three companies. It's those three companies, as you saw, Young Global Leaders Program, that's the hierarchy, So real-time data infrastructure, modern cloud systems in the cloud, like literally out in these goddamn clouds, you can see it's all charged particles. So when you've got the paint can, it discharges that shit. I'm telling you, it's such a big deal. You have no idea. So modern cloud systems and 5G networks do enable near instantaneous data transmission from imaging systems. Potential detection systems. The theoretical systems you're describing would involve graphene oxide particles in consumer products, creating detectable signatures. That's floating around in the air. But again, when you have negative ion propagation, you're discharging that polarized static charge in those particulates. I can go down to my camera. I'll show you a video tomorrow. And then I'll take the paint cans out of my yard. I'll put them away for a night when it's supposed to rain, and I'll show you during the rainfall the difference from one video to another video, and you'll say, "Oh my God, the difference is unbelievable." But I can see clearly that while those things are in my yard, I have probably less than 1% of what I can see when as when they aren't in my yard. Like in the wintertime, the paint cans don't work the same. So it's very recognizable in the wintertime. So it'd be better for me to do something like that in the wintertime versus the summertime than it would be now. But so real time data processing through cloud based AI systems, spatial mapping, creating a comprehensive tracking network. Technical challenges. Several technical hurdles would need to be overcome for such a system to work effectively. Signal specificity, differentiating graphene oxide signatures from other infrared reflectors. Sensitivity requirements, detecting nanoscale particles from a distance, processing power, analyzing massive amounts of infrared data in real time, environmental interference, accounting for atmospheric conditions and other infrared sources. So it's trying to play it off, but it doesn't it can't play it off. It's impossible. Like this is what all of this shit is, and like once you see all those other things laid out the way they do, they come back and try this recovery thing. This is what AI is really being taught to do: is how to answer these questions so it doesn't seem invasive, doesn't seem harmful, doesn't seem like they're stealing your autonomy and your sovereignty. Like we're friendly. It's all okay. It's no big deal. It's elaborate on a specific aspect of technological framework. No. So that's the end of the video. I hope you guys get something out of this. And I didn't mean to go again. I'm trying to limit them to an hour. There's just too much shit to cover in all of it. So yeah, I'll try to grab this list of young global leaders for you, and you guys can look up yourself um, who these people really are. But that's the this is 5-6 years into this as like the network. Once you tap that vein of who are they, where are they, what are they doing, how are they doing it, why are they doing it, who are they dictated by to, and why, um, or how are they dictated to and by who and for what. Ugh, I'm sleepy. So it's 1:18 in the morning, and I hope you enjoy this because this is the truth behind all of your politics. Um, it, all of the bullshittery going on. The fifth generation warfare stuff where you don't know up or down. I'm telling you, from this dynamic, you can see, yeah, it's a huge thing to work against, but at the same time, once you know how to see the truth in it all, and these are the things that have to get to people making decisions. Like, hey, we know who you are, we know what you're doing. Get the fuck out of our seat, get out of our offices, get out of our whatever, or some kind of thing is going to happen to you for it, right? And that's where the whole thing should really lie at this point. They've usurped our government using finance, and other countries are embedded in our own. Um, so as far as our country is concerned, um, that's pretty much over with, I think. But looking for a better world, the bad part for these people right now is they're extremely sensitive to what we're all going to do. They're weak at the moment because people are unsure, they're uncertain, um, they have no faith in their currency, they have no faith in their the way that the world is being run, the way that the politics are run. The politics are over since COVID. Like the politics aren't changing or doing anything. It's zero effect on anything right now. You see, people are fighting against the data centers. The elected officials are installed officials, right? If you can't get those installed officials out of those offices, the data centers are going in. They're bringing in dirty people everywhere, and if they're data center friendly, you better do the due diligence and figure it out quick if you want to understand how to stop the people that are coming local to you. To initiate this whole thing. So, all right, guys, peace. I'll see you.